Everybody, welcome, welcome. Welcome. It's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day, and I want to welcome you to the Aunty Tek Spiceword Literary Festival. I'd also like to apologize for the late start to the viewers online and to the viewers right here with us live. We are all live because of COVID, things take a little longer to get going. As you can see, I'm wearing my mask, and this is very important that we all wear a mask. And because I'm 6 feet away, I can now take it off because I'm all by myself in my own little space. So my name is Ricardo Keynes Douglas, and I'll be your host for the next half an hour to an hour or so. And on behalf of the Grenada Cultural Foundation and our CEO, Sherma Wells, we wish you all the best and a happy festival. Now, folk tales are something that we all grew up with. We all know our grandparents always had a tale to tell you about Sukuyan or Legarou or Bre Nancy or Laja Bless, all these wonderful stories. So the theme of the festival, which is about 4 days long, I think this is the 3 days, which is their second day so far, yes, is the folk tales is the theme. And so I know you all listening right now, you have lots of folk tale stories to tell. And the nice thing about folk tales and storytelling is that you can pass it on. In today's society where we have so much technology, where we're bombarded by the TV and stuff, there's very little contact. And especially now with COVID, nobody wants to hug or shake hands anymore. But this is a great opportunity for you to share with your children and your grandchildren, of when growing up when you were a young boy or a young girl, I remember my mom and dad used to tell me tons of stories about, my dad used to tell me when he first dated my mom, going back in the olden days, and he used to go out on a moonlight night, and my mom would be in her bedroom, and he would take little stones and throw it and hit the window. And she'll poke her head out the window, and they would chat. And those are great stories to pass on, or, just wonderful stories. So it's very important for you, mums and dads, grandparents, to pass things on to your children, because that's what we have. And connecting is one of the greatest things in a family. When you sit around the dinner table, or you sit on the veranda outside and you all talk. And young ones, ask your mom and dad, say, Mommy, tell me about when I was born. What happened, Tell me the first time that, you met my dad, things like that. So always remember, folk tales are incredible. Now, what's important also is that we have to, Aunty Tek Festival is a wonderful, wonderful festival where we showcase our local talent. Now, I don't know if you know who Aunty Tek was. She's one of the icons of storytelling, Thelma Phillips. Everybody remember Thelma Phillips. She's one of the a really wonderful storyteller. She's passed on now, and in honor of her, the literary festival, is named after her. And she was a storyteller. You used to be on TV. She used to be in schools. She was a warm person. And whenever she came out to tell stories, she would always dressed in her wonderful Grenadian garb, the wonderful, island garb of her national dress. So she always looked really spectacular, and she represented Grenada. She was a spice lady, So it's named after Aunty Tek, and storytelling is something that we keep. Now, the festival is a way of promoting and showcasing our local poets, our local authors, even our illustrators, because we write a lot of children's books as well, and a lot of Grenadians don't know that we have a lot of children's authors in Grenada, also children's illustrators for books. So this encompasses everything in dealing with literature. So this is an opportunity for the young folks who are listening right now. If you'd like to be a writer, if you'd like to be an illustrator, a poet, this is an opportunity for you to sit back and enjoy and relax and enjoy the stories. Also, parents, you might see one of your kids might have a knack for writing poetry, writing poems, so encourage it. Because when I was like 10, 15 years, 10 years, 12 years old, all I wanted to do was write. perform, act, perform, be on the stage. I never wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer or, or an engineer. My dad was an engineer, but they never forced me to be something I didn't want to be. So it's very important to know your child and don't force your children to be something they don't want to be. So you have to know what they love in life and encourage it, and support it. And that's why today, I, as a writer and a playwright and an actor, I am happy because I am doing what I love to do. And I knew what I wanted to do since I was a kid. And I had wonderful parents who encouraged me, who says, this is what you love to do, go do it. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Aunty Tek Spiceword Festival. And bring it on with me right now. As you know, I'm having my mask right here. So please remember to wear your masks. It's very important. Okay, I'm bringing on a Grenadian author. His name is, let's have it right here, Mr. Ambrose, David Ambrose. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for David Ambrose. And since David and I are 6 feet away, it is quite normal, so we can share, we can take our masks off if you wish.
Thank you, Ricky.
Hello, good evening, good afternoon, as a matter of fact.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So tell me a little bit about yourself, or tell the world a little bit about yourself, David.
Okay. So my name is David Ambrose, but I write using the pen name D.E. Ambrose. I actually found there was another David Ambrose who writes, so I didn't want to use his profile to market myself. But I am Grenadian by birth. I attended school in Grenada. I attended college in the United States. And, well, after that, higher education also in the United States. I am an educator by profession. I started my teaching profession by teaching at the Grenada Boys Secondary School.
Yeah.
And later on,
GBSS.
I moved to a private school after that.
Right.
And after the private school, I moved to TAMCC in 2008. So I'm currently at TAMCC. I'm a lecturer at TAMCC.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah.
And I teach mainly communication studies, but I do some foreign languages as well.
Okay.
And I am currently the chair of the Department of Arts, Humanities, and General Studies at TAMCC.
So growing up, were you involved in any like folk tales, or do you remember any tales that your parents, told you or stuff?
Yes, I don't want to say it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But my mom is from Carriacou.
Okay.
So there are a lot of tales coming out of Carriacou. And so she would, I recall she would tell us quite a bit of folk tales. And, she would have us just wrapped up in her tales.
Yeah, yeah.
Just sitting there, forget about everything else, look at mom. Maybe we were listening to her at night. And back then,
what kind of tales would come out of Carriacou compared to Grenada? I don't know if growing up in Carriacou they had tales like Laja Bless and Sukunya, were they?
Yeah,
or does Carriacou have their own characters?
They have their own characters, yeah. I grew up down here, but of course, she would pass on what her parents told her.
Like,
and perhaps
example, like...
So, there were some tales about the Ligaroo, for example.
Right.
And sometimes we found it hard to believe, of course. My sister and I would be staring at each other, wondering, is that true? What, of Ligaroo flying at night. If we want to prevent, if somebody wants to prevent a Ligaroo from entering the house, perhaps, in fact, put some sand in front of the front of the door. And there's no way the Ligaroo could enter without counting every single grain of sand.
That's right.
And
the reason for that is because they have to be back inside before
daylight,
before the sun comes up, right?
Comes up. Yes.
So to count sand, it will take a little while.
It'll take a while. Yeah. So there were a lot of those kinds of stories, and like you alluded a few minutes ago, the spirit world, I suppose, in Carriacou is a big thing.
Right.
Always dealing with the ancestors,
right?
Respect for the ancestors, and all of the things that go with that.
Right, because you in Carriacou deal a lot with the tombstone, which we don't do very much in Grenada. So tell me a little bit about that. What is like?
A couple years after a family member has died, you know, the relatives would get together and build a tombstone.
Right.
And they would erect that headstone on the tomb, build a tomb, erect a headstone on the tomb. And there's a lot of fanfare, so to speak, surrounding that, including a big fete.
Okay, okay.
Lots of food and things. I had an aunt who died in 2020, a few years ago. And the family, my cousins, erected her headstone, or the headstone, over her grave. In fact, she was buried next to her husband and her son and her daughter. A few of them passed on over the years. And they erected the stone last year. And a massive thing, man. Big feast. And I missed it. My cousins called, hey, man, you missed that, man. Real food, boy, real food.
Because in Grenada, we don't do that.
No.
It's a Karakou thing. I mean, the only thing we have in Grenada is, I mean, if you're Catholic or Christian, is that the All Saints. All Saints is a big thing in Grenada, which is the 1st of November, and you go to the graves, and you sit around the graves, and you light candles, and you reminisce, you know, you can reminisce about the person who has passed on, tell stories. Friends will come by and sit around the grave and talk. Some people would say prayers, some people would sing songs. And Asham.
Asham is a big thing.
Asham is the...
Yes. I was in a supermarket yesterday, and I did saw Asham on the shelf. I was tempted to buy one, but
but once you see Asham, you know it's All Saints.
Yes,
I remember as kids too. You see, you know, it used to be so wicked. You used to have Asham, but you put sand.
Yeah, because it looked just like.
It looked just like Asham. So you say, hey, calling your friends, hey, you want some Asham? And they say, yeah. And then you put sand in it, you know, and you pour sand into their hand because it's dark.
Right.
And they taste it. But that's all fun. That's just, you know, genuine fun.
Yes.
So as a young person, were you into writing?
Yes, I could recall in primary school doing a composition that my English teacher had asked us to do, and I attended the Lincoln Miss Batty School on Lucas Street, and I wrote this thing, man, about maybe I think it was the life of a fish or something like that. See me writing and stuff. I even wrote about when the fish was in the frying pan and. So she said, how could you, the fish is dead already. You can't go that far. But I always loved writing. Okay. And then I guess I took it a step further in secondary schools. And a lot of us boys at GBSS, and I attended school when girls were there as well. A lot of us boys, we emulated obviously the books that we used to read.
Right.
And we used to read a lot of American type books.
Right.
The adventurous stories.
Yeah.
The Hardy Boys.
Yes.
Later on, I suppose we graduated into the Mac Bolans and those kinds of genres. I even got into, when I was in Form 2, I think I read my first Tom Clancy novel. A really fat book. And after that, man, Tom Clancy all the time. So I started emulating those kinds of stories, that genre.
Right.
And in fact, that's how I got into my first book. Which was White Spice.
Okay, White Spice, that's right, yeah.
White Spice is a crime thriller, and it's set in Grenada.
Okay.
Also, I published that one in 2015. And in 2018, that's when I published Bogles. As we were talking about the tombstone and the stone feast and stuff, I dedicated a chapter in this book on that.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So in fact, I'll read a sample from that.
Excellent.
That's what I selected even before you started speaking.
White Spice is, what's it briefly? You said it's a thriller?
It's a thriller. It's a crime thriller set in Grenada. And it's fictitious.
Okay, yes.
When I published it, at least it was fictitious when I published it. But it focuses on a fictitious drug squad, and it follows investigations that deals with the cocaine trafficking business in Grenada and around Grenada.
And that's a lot happening. Yeah.
So it's all a figment of my imagination when I wrote it, and in fact, afterwards people would read it and say, hey, is this true or what?
Yeah.
No, I imagine these things.
Yeah, because many times art, let's say art imitates life.
Exactly.
Life imitates art,
Yes. So that's
the wonderful thing of the imagination. with a writer, because you can go anywhere with your imagination.
Anywhere.
And you can take your audience with you.
That's true.
And if it's really fantastic in the sense of you connecting with your audience, they travel with you. And that's the magic of reading, because to me, watching TV constantly is a passive way of living, because you sit and the TV gives you everything.
Brings everything.
You don't have to think, you don't have to, but once you start reading a book, and all you start painting the images and the characters, and you in your mind as a reader, you start picturing this place you're talking about and this character. That's why, I think, like storytelling and book reading is so wonderful. And
yes. And so I always wish more young people would read.
Yeah.
Because that would definitely help with their imagination. It would definitely help with the writing.
Right.
As well as with the critical thinking.
Yeah.
So that is something that we have to continue to encourage our young people to do.
Right.
To read.
Okay, so this book, which is what a Caracou Tale.
Yeah, that time in Bogus.
So what is this about? This is the one.
Yes.
This is a Caracou Tale. I don't know if you can camera a Caracou Tale. This is.
And the cover was done by a TAMCC lecturer, Andrea McLeod. She's the art and design lecturer at TAMCC.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah. The cover for White Spice is also an original painting done by Prince Nello.
Okay.
And these are Haitian Grenadian artists.
Right. It's very important. I want people to know and appreciate Grenadian authors, and poets. And we don't know it, and we tend to read a lot of. We know all the other people in the region and stuff, and we need to understand to know who we are as Grenadian authors.
Yeah, we have a lot of talent in Grenada.
Yeah.
A lot of writers, in fact. A lot of graphic artists, a lot of artists.
The graphic art, the youth are coming up now, are incredible with the graphics and stuff, So tell me a little bit about the book. You're going to read something.
Bogus is set in Caracou.
Right.
In the village of Bogus. Bogus is where my mom is from. So I decided to write a story to honor her. And so I wanted to talk about the culture and lifestyle of the people of Caracou, but I needed to set it in a village.
Okay.
So I chose Bogus. And it follows a boy, a Grenadian boy who goes up to spend the Easter break in Caracou.
Okay.
I think he was in Form 1 or Form 2. So it's a 2-week break, so he goes to spend that time in Caracou. He didn't want to go. Who wants to go to Caracou? And this is in the 80s, eh? So it was at a time when travel to Caracou was quite challenging. Right. It's not like today when you jump on a fast ferry and you get there in 90 minutes. Takes you the whole day.
And now you have a plane to go to Caracou.
20 minutes. So the boy goes up reluctantly. He spends time with his cousins in Bogus. Eventually he starts to enjoy it. He's with his cousins. Eventually he's going to forget about, hey, I didn't want to come on this trip. Forget about the bad sea and stuff. I'm in Caracou. It's Easter break. A lot of things are happening. Kites, plum, mangoes. Plus there was some festivities that he got involved in as well.
Okay, great. So you want to read something? Take your time. Make yourself comfortable. There's some water on the side there if you wish to have a sip. Okay.
I might do that before I read, in fact. Yeah.
Exactly. I know what it's like.
Yes. And even while I open a bottle, my third book is a short story that I published last year.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. David Ambrose, gets ready. He's going to be reading from his book, Caracou Tale, a Caracou Tale.
That time in Bogus, a Caracou Tale. I'm going to read from the chapter called Stone Feast.
A camera is that way,
So I'm going to pick it up where the people are returning to the family compound, and it is a stone feast for Tantan's brother. Tantan brother, he died a couple of years before, so it's a big thing. A procession led by Tantan and Auntie Margaret carried containers of food from each pot to a specially prepared table inside the hall. That food was dedicated to the spirits of the ancestors and would remain untouched until the next day. Daniel almost cried as he saw bowls of provision, dumplings, roll rice, and various types of meat go to waste. But he didn't mind them leaving cuckoo for the spirits. Tantan gave a short speech. Then the feasting began. Daniel and the boys ate so much food that they could hardly walk after the third helping. All the guests ate as if they expected a famine to start in Carriacou the next day. A group of men parked themselves close to the pot of fish broth. The Grenadian boys sampled every type of meat and downed a glass of juice with each round of food. Kopai, Tanti does make the best lime juice, he commented. What she does put in that juice, boy? Elijah shrugged. It's just lime and brown sugar. She does put vanilla essence in it too. I feel it's the essence that make the difference. Danny's eyes zoomed in on Tanti in a long white dress, greeting people in the front yard. He couldn't figure out why 3 other ladies chose to wear the same type of white dress as his aunt. Follow fashion. The boys finished eating in silence, and Elisha unhooked the top button of his pants. Whoa, Isha, your belly get big, we? Daniel exclaimed. Elisha smiled wryly. All the boys were exhausted. Daniel felt he had eaten too much. He tried not to think about going to the latrine tonight. He imagined himself walking between the plum trees in the dark with a lantern and meeting rats and bugs in the outhouse. Besides, a big serpent lurked on that side of the house. And some big frogs usually come out at night. The last thing he wanted to do was to step on a giant crapaud. He decided he would hit the pit before the sun set, otherwise he would wait until next day. Daniel suddenly leapt up from his seat on the ground. Elisha jumped up as well. Hands bite you or what? He brushed his bottom with the back of his hand. That is the tune, Dread, Daniel yelled as Ras cassette mix started a new song. Men and women around the yard who were seated stood up to rock, skank, and step to the infectious bass line of the reggae rhythm. Police and thieves in the streets, oh yeah. A chorus of voice rang out. Men and boys even tried to imitate the high-pitched voice of the male vocalist. A brisk breeze carried the music around the village and even as far away as Cherry Hill to the southeast. Ras, you have the place locked down with that music, Bamboo complimented the DJ. After the popular reggae song faded, Daniel inserted a soca tape and let it play for 10 minutes. Even the senior ladies got up to shake their behinds to Lord Kitchener's Sugar Boom Boom. A string band then took over the entertainment, and the merry atmosphere in the village went up a notch as 2 guitars, a banjo, and a violin called out to every home in Bogles and surrounding communities to dispatch its occupants to the Peter's yard. Daniel and Elijah moved closer to the action. Elisha disappeared inside the house. Jack, look, we cousin playing banjo. Daniel pointed out the tall man with the afro. Godwin on a high, boy. With eyes closed, Godwin rotated his head swiftly in time with the fast breakaway rhythm that his band strummed. The wind had picked up now, and Masanto and ordinary lanterns around the yard cast eerie dancing shadows in the dusk. Everybody in the yard was transformed into a dancing machine. That is the best banjo man in Carriacou, Elijah stated. Listen to that banjo talk now. Several minutes later, drums replaced the stringed instruments and the crowd rearranged itself to form a circle facing inward. Tantan, Con Cheryl, and 2 other Bogles elders danced to the center of the ring with bottles. They're going and wet the ground again, Daniel said confidently. Kopai, you're getting to know the thing, Elijah said, grinning. The foursome poured rum and water alternately on the ground, uttering words that Daniel still couldn't understand. He deduced that they were again calling out to the ancestors and spirits. Tanti and them coming and dance now. Elijah announced after the invocations. Tanti and 3 middle-aged women gamboled bare feet to the center of the yard to the slow beat of the drums. Daniel was surprised to see Elisha among the 3 drummers. His open palms struck the goatskin surface of his bass drum in perfect sync with the other bass drummer. Rose and another girl shook shak-shaks energetically to the established rhythm. Long shall play in the bula drum, man, Elijah said to his cousin. Sometimes I just play the kata drum too. He pointed to the largest drum in the middle of the trio. Tanti looked even taller with a green and yellow head wrap. A multicolored winged skirt covered the bottom half of her dress. The floral pattern of the skirt reminded Daniel of the red, pink, and purple bougainvillea flowers around his house in Grenada. All 4 ladies wore matching costumes. Soon, the intensity of the drumming increased. A few ladies standing behind the drummers clapped and chanted as the dancers stepped, skipped, and strutted for a few minutes in the ring. The choreographed dancing and rhythmic drumming hypnotized Daniel until he thought he was in a trance. One singer would throw out a line, then the others in the group would respond in a chorus. Their language was unfamiliar to Daniel. He made a mental note to ask his mother if kayaks speak other languages besides English. Then Tanti was left alone to do a solo act. She took up a spot in front of Elisha, who pounded his drum while focusing on his mother's feet. The bass seemed to reach out on its own to move them. "Whoa," Daniel exclaimed. "That's sick, boy." He nodded in approval, and his eyes bulged as they fixed on his aunt's feet, moving in perfect cadence to her son's drumming. Tanti flared her skirt as she skipped from right foot to left, revealing its shiny red inner fabric. At times, her upper body hung parallel to the ground before she would rock back upright to the boom of the bula. She shimmied and shook her hips and head in quick time to the drumming. A roar went up from the audience as a slim figure twirled 6 times while the drumming rose to a crescendo. She suddenly leapt in the air, then dropped to a crouched position in the center of the circle, her head bowed. The drums fell silent. The spectators erupted in cheers, applause, and whistles. "Kopai, that is the best big drum dancing I ever see," Daniel said, breathing heavily. He had never seen big drum dancing in his life.
Whoa, hey.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I experienced big drum once, not a few times, but the Maroon Festival.
Right.
I used to go to Carriacou a lot for the Maroon Festival, which I
Yes.
think is just fantastic.
I went up for that last year.
Yeah,
It's real, man, that moves you, eh?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it moves you.
Well, thank you so much, David.
Thank you
Thank you,
very
ladies and
much.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
David Ambrose from his book reading, A Carriacou Tale. So go get it. It's out there. And you have here for sale? Yeah, he has here for sale if anybody wishes to take. Okay, at this point, we'll take a short commercial break and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Thank you. See you soon.
COVID-19 is a serious health threat. When you touch things like gas pumps, door handles, or someone else's cell phone, you can spread the virus, even if you don't have symptoms. Don't put lives at risk. Wash your hands.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. pure Grenada, just for you.
COVID-19 is a serious health threat. When you touch things like gas pumps, door handles, or someone else's cell phone, you can spread the virus, even if you don't have symptoms. Don't put lives at risk. Wash your hands. Stay 2 meters apart. That's a distance of 2 arms lengths. And if you're sick, stay home to save lives.
Hello and welcome back to Aunty Tek Spiceword Festival. And with me right now I have a guest, and his name is Ruben Mains, that's right. And he is the owner, manager of Art and Soul Bookstore. And we chat a little bit about the Art and Soul Bookstore because, as you know, today bookstores are really, really rare to find in Grenada. And not only in Grenada, but around the world with all the high tech and the Kindle and the stuff like that. It's really, really wonderful when there is a bookstore available where you can actually go into the bookstore and actually feel a book and touch a book and read a book. So I'm really, really happy. This is a really happy moment for me, being an author, that there are books available. So welcome, Mr. Mains. Ruben, you have to put the mic up closer, right? Welcome.
Yes, thank you.
So tell me a little bit about Art and Soul in the first place.
All right. Well, we have been here for 18 years in
Right.
Spiceland Mall. And of course, the main reason is just as you were saying, it's so that people who live on an island like Grenada can have access to books directly. They don't have to be looking online and seeing how they can try and get the thing to come down and so on.
Right.
So really, we're there as a service to the country. We have over 60 books by Grenadian authors.
Wonderful.
A lot of times people are surprised that there are so many. Of course, it's a lot easier today than it used to be to
publish a book.
to publish.
Yeah.
But a lot of times what people want to know is either what is best-selling or what you have that is new. And so I brought a few. And Ricardo, I'm happy to say.
This was not planned. This is
No, but seriously, because of course, over the years, we've always had this. And this has been the #1 best-selling children's book of any author from any country.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Thank you.
And one reason why is because when Grenadians who live away come back to visit, they're looking for something to carry back to children or grandchildren to connect them to Grenada.
Right.
And that's the perfect thing. Nutmeg
thank
Princess.
you.
So
Amen.
there you go.
you.
#1.
Okay.
This one, it came out 5 years ago, Force Right by Cindy McKinsey. And many books, when they come out, they might sell a few copies for a while, and then it kind of gets quiet. This one has consistently continued to sell, been on our bestseller list. And so a lot of credit goes to Cindy, not only for the good job she did writing,
Excellent book.
but
yeah.
she continued to promote it and, to raise the interest. Now, it's written as a novel, but of course she will say it was based on real events. But she didn't write it as a memoir, but from the real events more as a novel. I think so that people can identify and connect with it, that it could relate to other people's experience as well.
Right, right.
Right. And something new,
Whoa.
Grenada Heritage, a pictorial journey through place and time. There you go. Now, this is done by the Grenada National Trust, and they collaborated with John Angus Martin, who wrote the text, and Angus Thompson, who provided the pictures and the photography. Wow, beautiful. But it's entirely a Grenada production, and it is one of those things that it's like you must have this book because it so well encapsulates and represents the beauty of what Grenada is. So he takes a tour around the parishes and, of course, ends up in Carriacou and Petite Martinique. Right. So I say new because it came out this year.
Okay, right.
Right.
Wonderful book, beautiful.
And then this one also came out this year. It is written by Laurie Lambert, who is the daughter of Lawrence Lambert,
Okay.
who used to be the manager at Flamboyant and
Yes,
passed
passed
this
away.
year.
Yeah.
Right, yes. But she is an assistant professor of African and African American studies at Fordham University in the USA. And the book she wrote is entitled Comrade Sister. And just in a nutshell, what she's writing about, she's saying, you know, so much that was good about the revolution, so much that was positive and productive about the revolution was because of women and how much they were involved and how much they did. But they received very little recognition. And really that's what this book is about, Comrade Sister. And then the cover art was done by Susan Maines, my wife, in collaboration with her. So that also new this year, yes.
Is there anything, anything else you like to?
Well, those are the main things I want to feature. Of
Right.
course, we have the books by Bernard Cord, and I know people have strong opinions when you mention
But
Bernard
it's great.
Cord.
It's all about the history of Grenada.
Right, but the fact is, if you want to know what he's saying on the subject,
right.
well, he has shared it. So those are available as well. The one thing I'll say that I really regret is that we don't have in print a complete history of Grenada again. You know, 2 histories were written, one by George Brazan,
Right.
one by Beverly Steele. They're both out of print.
Whoa.
People are always asking for it, and the fact is they probably won't be reprinted.
Have you contacted Beverly and?
Oh yeah, she tried, but she eventually gave up because, you know, the publisher that had printed it had rights to certain parts of the book.
Oh God.
And the publisher was not willing to reprint. And she couldn't just go and take it and reprint on her own just like that.
Right.
And so this is a problem. It would be very, very good if somehow we could get back in print a complete history of Grenada.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So tell us where Art and Sold is.
Yes, Art and Soul Books are right in the middle of Spiceland Mall.
Yeah.
Here in Grand Anse. And as I say, we also do a lot of special orders because, you know, we can't carry everything. But again, the whole idea is that you're living in Grenada. Sometimes it's hard to get things one, piece.
Right.
But we try to make it possible
Right.
to put the customer together with the book that they want to
Excellent.
get. Right, yes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. Art and Soul right here at the mall, and it's an incredible bookstore. And is it the only bookstore in Grenada?
Well, no,
Is there another one?
You have the bookstores in town, but they mainly deal with school books.
School books, right? Yeah.
And so to carry the wide range.
Right.
Yes.
So get out there and read. Thank you so much, Mr. May. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. We'll be coming up now with another wonderful author. And now I can take this off because I'm 6 feet away, okay? Let's see who we have coming up next. I have Maureen St. Clair, and she wrote a book called Big Island Small. Ladies and gentlemen, friends out there, please welcome Miss St. Clair. Hey, welcome, Bunks. Over there. Okay, yeah. So, Maureen, so welcome. Welcome. How are you doing? Yes? You put a little closer, I think. Right? Is the mic on?
Hello? Yeah.
Oh, great. Wonderful.
Great.
So, how is your day so far?
Yeah, great. I'm honored to be here and honored. I wasn't planning to be here on stage, but
It's a pleasure.
It's such a blessing to be
It's a
here.
pleasure to us,
Yeah.
having you here. It's really,
Thank
really
you.
wonderful, especially I'm all in the support of writers and
Yeah.
arts, So anytime I can get an opportunity to talk with an author, it's always a great pleasure to me,
Yeah,
So
beautiful.
tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I've been living in Grenada for almost 30 years now.
Okay, great.
married-
Where are you from, sorry?
I'm originally from Canada.
From Canada. Oh, yeah,
So I know
Canada.
we have that connection.
Yeah.
And mutual friends.
Yeah, that's
Sherry,
right.
yeah.
That's right.
So married into the culture, married into the community. I'm living and raised my daughter in Hartford Village in St. Andrews.
Okay.
And so a big shout out to Hartford Village because
Yeah.
they've been a great foundation for me in the stories that I write that have been shared with me and have been woven and incorporated into some of my writings and into this book in particular.
Right.
Yeah.
Since the festival is about folk tales,
Yeah.
what kind of folk tales you grew up with in Canada?
In Canada.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. I'm trying to think.
Oh man, you see,
I know.
that's terrible.
Isn't that
That's a
terrible?
nice thing about Grenada, man. We're filled with folk tales.
Yeah, I know.
What-
And my daughter grew up on your books.
That's
So it was, just to have that. And
Canada has. I mean,
Canada,
it's
when
my
I-
second home, but
I know. Can you think? When I think of our culture, I don't think of it as rich as Grenada and as the Caribbean that bring
Yes,
folklore and teach folklore and
right.
Yeah.
I think you'll get more from the first peoples. Yes,
from the indigenous folks.
The indigenous
and,
folks. You get more storytellings
which
and
is
stories from them. Because Canada is such a multicultural
Such a
country.
multicultural, yeah.
So everybody comes from different parts of the world and
Yeah.
ends up in Canada with their stories.
Yes.
So
and
re-
it says a bit about in terms of white culture, like growing up
Yes.
and being bombarded, like you said, around TV and consumerism. And I grew up on TV.
Right,
And
right.
it wasn't until, I was a writer since I was young,
Okay.
found my voice in journal writing,
Mhm.
and then was exposed to some amazing books
Okay.
and read to.
Wonderful.
Then I came to Grenada when I was 22. And
you never went back.
And I never went back. Well, I come and go.
We
I
have
come and
that
go.
effect on people,
I know.
the Isle of Spice.
I know. And just really diving in my feet into the soil and
Yes.
raising a daughter that was born here.
Yes.
So I feel, I often say that politically, spiritually, socially, I've grown up in Grenada because
Yes.
it's such a rich history and a rich culture
yes, yeah.
and it's in a very small area, so it's been.
Because I always believe, especially as a kid growing up, the first 7 years of a child's life is so important. Because that's when you pass on things, the parents pass on things to young children. So that foundation is so important. And I left to go to Canada at a very young age to study theater. I left here, I was 19 years old. But my first 17 years in the country it's such a foundation that it just cannot leave me, no matter how many spending 30, 40 years outside of Grenada, that part of me and everything I do still reflects my foundation,
Yeah.
So foundations are very, very important. That's why I keep telling people to pass on things to your children
Yeah.
and involve them in your culture. It's very important, So
Yeah.
this book, what got you into writing it?
So again, from the stories here in Grenada, learning from my partner, my husband, and my daughter, and raising a young girl who. So the book is based loosely around my daughter, and it's fiction, so it's not. But some of the stories, but being a fair-skinned black woman.
I like that. Yeah.
And it's about two women, and it's a relationship between two women. And it's Big Island, Small Island. And Small Island is fictionally Grenada, and Big Island is fictionally Canada, known as Turtle Island, as you talk about the indigenous folks. And that's
Right.
North America. And it's between these two women who meet on Big Island, but like you just said, they both were born on Small Island, and so carry so much of their culture, so much of their very beings on Big Island, and then they meet, and they
Okay.
recognize that they're from the same small island. And one is a fair-skinned woman, Caribbean woman, and one is a black-skinned Caribbean woman. And it really is looking at the differences in terms of class, in terms of race, in terms of sexuality. And they come together and they have to figure out so much of themselves being from small island. And they've also both have been sexually abused. So they're trying to figure out their own perceptions based on class, based on the privileges that they have. So it's quite a story in terms of trying to unpack and dismantle all these different biases and judgments and that they both carry.
Right. How long did it take you to write the book?
Around 3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, it took a
Yeah.
while.
Lots-
And it in Canada, it won 2 awards. It won the Atlantic Writers Award.
Okay, great.
And then it won the Social Justice, the Beacon Award for Social Justice.
Oh, wonderful.
Both out of Nova Scotia.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. So
So are you going to read something? Of
Yeah.
course, you know. Take your time.
okay, thank you.
That's.
So I thought I'd give you
I love the name,
Big Island Small.
Big Island,
Yeah.
Small Island. Yeah, yeah.
And some people think Carriacou and Grenada, but it's because the indigenous folks called Turtle Island as North America. So
Okay.
it really came out of the Big Island being
Right.
North America
Right.
and Small Island being Grenada. But again, it's fictional.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I thought I'd give you a piece of Judith, because it's what happens in the book is it goes between Judith, Sola, Judith, Judith.
Keep them
Sola.
up, yeah.
Yeah,
So who's Judith? Judith is.
Judith is a fair-skinned black woman.
Okay.
Young woman. So they're both in their early 20s. And Sola is the black woman. And again, both coming from Small Island.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to read a little piece of Judith, and then I'll read a little piece of Sola.
Sure, yeah.
So Judith, where is she from? Where are you from? In my ears from the day I born. Small Island, I tell people over and over. Me navel string buried here. I say, just like my daddy, Fabian, teach me. I proud to claim Small Island language, the language woven from many mothers, French, Spanish, English, African. Fabian say, we Small Island people don't know who to call mother. Some claim Mother England, depending on what side of history you choose to forget. Mother England, the most wicked mother boss, the dread stepmother, the mother who forced herself on us the longest, the fiercest. And then he say, there are some of us still claiming our mother roots, our mother Africa, and some want to blame she for selling she children, but who can blame a mother when nightmare turn real and the world teething she children faster than she can hide them? I am on Fabian's side, the side of Africa. I grow up Rasta, even though I grow up Buddhist too. Mom is Buddhist. So what if my mother from Big Island? I still 100% Small Island. Dad, Small Island, my auntie, Small Island, my cousins and uncles, Small Island, my dogs, cats, goats, Small Island, things I love, mango, sapodilla, tamarind balls, guava cheese, soursop and sweet milk, coconut jelly, Johnny Bakes, sweet potato pudding, ginger beer, water blue as sapphire, caramel-colored sand, hills and valleys looped and licked with all kinds of greens, neighbors missing you even if only a day passed since they see you last, elders still expecting to be greeted, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, the hum of people's day to day soaring through open windows, everybody knows somebody who knows someone who know you, all Small Island and all part of me. I am Fabian and Pauline's daughter, born in the village, born Christmas Day with a pot of pumpkin soup on the fire, dogs barking in the yard, and Uncle Ambrose drinking rum on the back bench. Sometimes people who don't know me call me White Rasta, tourist, Indian, Chinese, coolie, half-caste, and the people who do know me call me Judith, or sometimes Judy, or Baby Ras, or Fabian's daughter, or the child born in the house on Christmas Day, or poor child who lose she mother so early. So that would be Judith.
That's beautiful. Yeah, you really captured it. Especially all the food, and the village and the way people react to you because you're different, in a way.
Yeah.
You look different because, you're mixed or whatever it is. They start to call you names and stuff like that,
Yeah.
And it can be sometimes a little bit troubling to young people growing up,
Yeah.
especially in North America where they say you're half-breed or you're this or you're mixed, But that's life,
Yeah.
and you still have to be proud of who you are, and
Yeah.
and stuff like that. There's no black and white anymore. It's just
no black
who
and
you are as a person.
Yeah.
That's what the world is like now,
Yeah.
Yeah. So what another?
So yeah, well, let me give you a little piece of Sola.
Yeah. Now Sola is the dark skin.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and she's there. The two of them are in Canada right now, or Big Island, and they're walking to the fairgrounds, and they've just realized, I think that they're from the same place, or they're discussing the same place and their fathers, and
Yeah.
again around skin color and shadeism and all of that. So we walk to the fairgrounds in silence until Judith says, "We're supposed to meet. It's fate. Maybe we're supposed to argue too. Who knows? Only Jah know." She doesn't see my eyes roll up. She doesn't hear the beginnings of a stoops. Instead, I ask her if her dad is black. This time she doesn't take offense. Instead, she says he black, but he think he red. We both laugh. I can hear Dalma telling Shy, Sola takes she color from she father, as if she has to make that clear from the beginning, as though her red-brown is superior to my black-brown. You sure you didn't take much from your dad? Maybe your mom, I say. I got my nose, my eyes, my height, my hair, my walk, my build from Fabian's side. I got everything else from mom, fair skin and all. She speaks with the curve of defeat in her shoulders. The crowd gets denser as we reach closer to the fairgrounds. The heat, a slow haze sliding across the pavement, thick air circling, maple trees in a slump, cedars exhausted with all that weight, parents wishing they could turn back to air conditioners, kids skipping along sidewalks, anticipating sticky popcorn, fast rides, and neon stuffed prizes. I want to find shade, preferably under a small island tree like a yellow pui or a skin up or any of the large mango trees in the village. I want to introduce Judith to Mikey and Ma Tay, to some of the boys on the block like Frankie, Billy, and the rest of the crew. I want her to meet Samuel so they can laugh at the hypocrisies of Big Island. Samuel, who was beat up so bad on Big Island, they had to send him home to catch up his memory so he could unscramble the part of his brain kicked by two men who found him and his lover in an alley behind a club. I loved Samuel. I didn't care what he was up to behind bushes or who he loved or how he chose to spend his time up the road, which was usually on the other end of a skipping rope, laughing and telling us girls to keep jumping and why you stop. When Samuel demonstrated he was as graceful as a Spanish dancer, we girls squealed with delight and begged him to show us more moves underneath that giant wave of a rope. I want to take Judith to school and let Mr. Jessamy question her ancestors. I even want Thompson to meet her so he can make some kind of inappropriate comment like, Sola, you making friends with hippies now? I want Judith to come with me down by the river. I'll lead her through the hole in the bush by the side of Mr. Lloyd's shop. Tell her to watch out for the mango roots. Watch her expression when she first glimpses the ancient stones, the hauntingly beautiful faces peering from boulders, sitting half in, half out of the water, the primordial people keeping watch, protecting sacred grounds.
Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you, Maureen.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Maureen St. Clair.
Yeah.
But before you go, I should have asked all writers that. Tell us, you said it took you 3 years to write your book,
Yeah.
right? Some people it takes 5, 8, 2, whatever it is.
Yeah.
How many rewrites did you do?
A lot.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Hundreds,
Yeah,
So
a
I want to tell young people that, sometimes you want to write a book and you do not want to do rewrites. You can't just write one script and say that's it, So it takes time and you have to rewrite and you have somebody you trust you can talk to and say, this is my idea, what do you think of it, etc., etc. So please do not think because you want to be a writer, don't get discouraged because you just write one book, one manuscript and feel that's it. You
Yeah.
have to go back to it and do rewrites
Yeah.
and watch the characters and check the scenes out. So it's not easy, but if you love it, it's easy.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you, Maureen.
I just
Yeah.
also want to give, in terms
Yeah.
of being inclusive with all stories here in Grenada, and I just want to, I really feel passionate about the two characters in this book who are exploring their own sexuality and intimacy. And again, I just feel so passionate about being inclusive of all stories. So this
Right.
would be the story around, like, there's pieces of it around LGBTQ,
Right.
that are very important in there, and that, yeah, how do we include not just some stories, but everybody's
Exactly.
story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. One.
So,
Is it? Is
yeah.
it in Art and Soul?
No. Yeah.
You got to get into Art and Soul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a bit of controversy there because,
okay.
because of that. So,
Okay.
But that's okay. But you can.
That's what it's all about. That's what a
it's all
festival is about.
Yeah. And you can order it, I think, from them, but they don't have it on the
Oh,
shelves.
okay, great.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you,
Okay,
thank
it's a
you,
pleasure.
thank you. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We'll be right back. Enjoy.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you.
COVID-19 is a serious health threat. When you touch things like gas pumps, door handles, or someone else's cell phone, you can spread the virus, even if you don't have symptoms. Don't put lives at risk. Wash your hands. Stay 2 meters apart. That's a distance of 2 arms lengths. And if you're sick, stay home to save lives.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you.
We are so very pleased and excited to launch this campaign today. So this campaign came out of a brainstorming session between the marketing and communications departments at GTA. It was several ideas that were built up upon each other, and the main underlying themes are our beautiful, uncrowded islands, and of course, how hard we have all worked as a nation to implement and practice new health and safety protocols designed to keep us all safe. The aim of this campaign, above all, is to showcase Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique as a safe destination. that puts the health of its population and its visitors first. We are very keen to show the world that we are ready to receive.
Welcome back to Aunty Tek's Spiceword Festival. A little shout out to Sherma. I know you're watching. Hey, and all the authors and friends and who are watching around the world and regionally and right here. Wonderful audience. It's really a nice audience, and I can see everybody's really enjoying it. So I'm happy about that. I just, we hardly hear about children's authors in Grenada, just a few, and unfortunately, we couldn't get children's authors to come today because a lot of them, they're working and stuff like that. So what I decided to do was, some of them, I like to just promote some of their books for them, the ones who couldn't come. And there was a wonderful program 2 years ago called Room to Read, where it started by the Grenada Schools Incorporation. And it's where we got 6 illustrators and 6 writers, young writers, to write children's books, and we put out a call outside and asking writers who are interested in writing for children and illustrators, and we got a really wonderful amount of illustrators and writers coming in, and out of those we gave them a workshop, a 2-week workshop, and out of the workshop came books written by Grenadians, illustrated by Grenadians, stories about Grenadians set in Grenada. And that's the wonderful thing about Room to Read by the Grenada Schools Incorporated. So one of the books, I'm going to read a few of them. This is called The Lord of the Rings, of the Leaves, sorry. The Lord of the Rings is a movie. And it's written by and illustrated. I have to tell you that. This is a Grenadian author and illustrator of her own book, which is fantastic. And it's Jamila Francis. And it's a story, this is for the kids. It's very important to have that around because they are the future. And this is written for 3 to 4 year olds. And it's called The Lord of the Leaves. And it's about a little lizard. Yes. Get ready, kiddies. Here it comes. The little lizard liked to watch birds. He called them the lords of the sky. See? But the lizard was afraid of birds. He was afraid they would eat him. Ooh, yeah. One day, a bird landed in the tree. "Hi," said the bird. "Who are you?" "I do not have a name," the lizard said, "but you are the Lord of the sky." See? Look at the big bird eye. Let's play.
Doctor. Doctor called for many years of expensive university far away in Jamaica. You don't know that girl? You is a Mbete or what? This was before the revolution and before Fidel offered his generous scholarship program to the Caribbean and to other third world countries, so all students, regardless of means, could benefit. What another world I might have had if only I had stayed with Mrs. Mack just a few more years. Sorely wounded in my spirits, I tried and finally came up with the next hopeful answer. "Perhaps I'll work in one of the big banks then?" To which the response, "Maybe you can. They still prefer light-skinned girls like you behind the counter," was satisfactory. Yes, I decided then, a bank clerk, dignified, dressed in smart uniforms, contact with all that money, and meeting the important people like the politicians and the businessmen. My future was secure, and who knew? Perhaps in time I could become a branch manager? I did not think of being a general manager, as I understood and accepted then that all who held those high jobs were white foreign men. So I dreamt and set my course. Thank you.
Wonderful. In that little bit you just read there, you captured a lot of what happened, the history of Grenada in the past. in the sense of the LIAT, flight attendants. In those days, they call them stewardesses. A lot of people looked up. They wanted to be, as you said, a flight attendant because they used to travel.
So glamorous.
Like, so glamorous because Miss World Miss World Jennifer hosted was a flight attendant on BWE, right? You know, and then you moved on to the discouragement of young ladies when they want to be a doctor. Again, because of finances, you couldn't afford it, you know. And then you came back and you talked about only the light-skinned girls, people were working in the bank. And that was so true, because they only took a certain color in those days, you know. And that's the history of the colonial days, but, you know, those things are true, and you capture that, you know. But as a judge, I wanted to ask you, when you hear stories, I mean, you must have heard hundreds of stories. Does it, like, when you lie in bed sometimes, do these stories come back to your head, or do you just put everything aside? Do you relive some of them? When I say relive them,
Well,
I'm just curious as a judge, you know.
yes, it's very difficult to put things aside. At first, I remember I was very troubled, especially in criminal matters. It came to the point where we had gruesome photos, and I would look at the photos very, very quickly and think, no, I can't sort of dwell on the photos. So it's like, yes, officer, photo number 1 shows the broken arm. Yes, jury, have you seen it? The jury, yes, and I am quickly covering the photo and moving on. Right. But what I learned, and I think it was, I was reading something from Buddhist philosophy, and it was to the fact that it was speaking about counselors and how you deal with problems. And I thought one of the things he said, you could be a counselor, you could be a judge, you listen to all the hard-up stories, a policeman, you see crimes. What you have to learn to be is to, you're a dustbin where people put everything, all their rubbish, their bad feelings, they come to you and you're the dustbin. But he said, be a dustbin with a hole in the bottom. And that was a good trick. And it made sense.
Yes,
so I learned to listen to them.
And let it go.
Let it go.
Yes.
Otherwise, it could affect your life.
Right.
You could sit there thinking, well, did I do right? Did I do wrong?
Right.
And another comfort was, for me, always, was if I did wrong, I am a single judge. There is always the Court of Appeal.
Okay, yes. Well, the book sounds really, really fabulous. I don't want to ask you how the person got into jail.
Sorry?
How the difference.
No.
I don't want to give away anything in the book.
If you ask that,
yes,
no,
exactly. So no spoilers, no spoilers. So for you to know what happened and how the person got into jail and what happened behind the red door, you've got to read this book by Rita Leone, The Red Door. Thank you so much, Rita. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mr.
God bless you.
I appreciate it.
Yes,
thank
same
you.
here. God bless.
And thank you, audience.
Okay, don't go away. We'll be right back. Thank you. That was lovely.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you.
COVID-19 is a serious health threat. When you touch things like gas pumps, door handles, or someone else's cell phone, you can spread the virus. Even if you don't have symptoms, don't put lives at risk. Wash your hands. Stay 2 meters apart. That's a distance of 2 arms lengths. And if you're sick, stay home to save lives.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you. We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and live audience all around the world, regionally, diaspora, all over. Welcome back to the Aunty Tek Spiceword Festival, which is in its 10th year. And it's something fantastic that's happening in Grenada, where we celebrate our local authors and poets. And it's a great opportunity to get to meet them and to know their books and to support them more than anything else. So you can go online, get the names. You can even call the Cultural Foundation, and they would know a lot of the authors in Grenada, and they can give you the list of names you wish to read. And the nice thing about in today's world, compared to like 10, 15 years ago, it was really, really hard to publish books because you had to find a publisher. And right now, a lot of self-publishing is happening in small books and large books. So that's an opportunity too for you out there who might be writing a manuscript right now or writing something. Just look into trying to self-publish, because not all times are different in today's world, where publishers would actually buy your books, because sometimes you might send your book in to be read by a publisher and they might send it back to you, but that does not mean the book is not good. It's just that it's not the kind of book they're looking for, or they've had their quota of books of the year. So never be discouraged. So I advise young people to look into self-publishing. If you don't know about it, ask somebody, especially young folks that know about the computers. So welcome back to Aunty Tek, and I have with me here a friend, yes, Jeffrey Gilbert. Most of you might have heard about him. This is his 5th book. Welcome, Jeffrey. I could use your mic.
Very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffrey Gilbert.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Very well, Ricardo. Very well. Good to see you once again.
Yeah, nice to see you.
Yes.
You're looking well, man. COVID is treating you well.
Hanging in there.
Yeah.
Coping with the punches, right?
Yeah, is that okay? Yeah? How are you feeling with COVID?
Well, like the rest of the world, COVID obviously has had its impact, economic and otherwise. But thankfully, from the standpoint of health, we have been spared and we have been blessed.
Amen, yes.
We have been doing pretty well in terms of managing our caseload.
Right.
Barring a little hiccup here and there, but generally it has been not a bad experience. Very, very challenging, very testing.
Right.
And it is a time when you cannot really buckle up and roll over, because what we are faced with now is something that no one actually thought about.
Right, yes.
When we ended 2019, many of us went into 2020 with great plans, great aspirations, great dreams. And boom,
totally
there
different
came
world.
COVID-19.
Yeah.
But in every difficult situation, there are always opportunities. That's basically how I see it.
So were you writing during COVID?
Oh, yes, definitely. I mean, writing for me is also therapeutic.
Right.
So during those very, very turbulent and difficult and uncertain times, I went back to my laptop and I started writing again. And obviously, I always have a couple manuscripts in there, needing polishing and needing fine-tuning. So COVID gave me that opportunity to actually dig a little deeper,
right,
and go in to see exactly how I can improve and at least fine-tune my craft.
Right. Just telling us people who might not have heard of you. I don't know why, but they should know Jeffrey Gilbert. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Jeffrey.
Well, I would start off by saying I would give you a little overview of my writing career. I've been in this business of writing for quite a long time. But I actually started professionally around 2012. Prior to writing, persons who know me actually, I've been a banker mainly. My primary career was in the area of banking. I worked formally at the Bank of Nova Scotia for a number of years, and I'm sure there are persons here who would remember that. When I left in 2012, I decided to make that career shift and that career change, a sort of a re-engineering of things. Having spent over 28 years in banking, I felt that I had to do something different. And actually that was the genesis of me writing. But before that, as a boy growing up in the rural community, St. Davis, Windsor Forest to be exact, I've always been thrilled by writing, by listening to the news, and by reading in general. And I think that gave me the impetus and the drive. I remember as a kid in school, I used to be mimicking many BBC reporters. I'd be reported from different parts of the world, although I've never went there. So, and even in my writing now, I have actually brought some of that into my writing, because many of the places I write about, I've never been there. Many of the situations I write about, I've never experienced them, but obviously because we're in a global village, it is so easy to connect and to research and to get information.
And a wonderful imagination.
Of course, of course, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, what are you working on now?
Well, right now I just completed a book called Quagmire.
Okay.
Quagmire. Quagmire is basically those of you who might have who were here last year remember me speaking about Terror, Passion, and Courage. I completed Terror, Passion, and Courage in 2017, 2018. I published it, but I felt that having published it, there were some things I wanted to do differently. I paused for a while. I spoke with my publishers and I said, you know what, I am going to do something else, right? And that something else basically turned out to be Quagmire. And in the middle of writing Quagmire, coming on to the end of Quagmire, then came COVID.
Oh,
right?
COVID
So
stopped a lot
my
of
whole
things.
outlook and everything changed.
Yeah.
You know, the world politics, because what I'm going to read for you today is centered primarily on what's happening with one of our northern neighbors. Right? It's not gonna be very difficult for you to figure out who or what I'm talking about.
Yes.
You know, and I must say, in the book, in different parts of the book, I try to pay homage to many of our healthcare professionals who are at the front of this global pandemic. You know, we cannot stop mentioning the heroic work.
That's right, yeah.
And even in Grenada here, we have to be mindful of that and be so thankful to our healthcare professionals for the splendid job they've been doing in keeping us safe.
Yes,
you know, healthcare workers, all of our frontline workers. So Quagmire is basically a synopsis of a series of world events. A lot of them they have a strong base because those who know me understand that I love to write action stuff. So there's a lot of hardcore action, you know, a lot of fun things, a lot of humor, and you know, it is a book that I think once you pick it up, you are not tempted to put it down.
Oh, excellent! Yeah.
You are not tempted to put it down at all.
So what is Quagmire about? Just
as I said, in a nutshell, Quagmire speaks basically about. I will give you one of my premier characters, right? He serves in the U.S. military. He works overseas. He was on one of America's most daring and deadly military missions in Erbil in Iraq, right? And coming back from the mission, right? He lands back home. He comes back in America, and he's torn apart by what he's seeing in his dear land, the racial tension, you know, the violence, the burning, the looting, and all of that stuff. And in addition to that, he also has to deal with a pandemic. He was never trained for that. Right? He never got exposed to that kind of thing. He had to deal with this. And of course, the impact it's going to have on his social and family life. So in a nutshell, as I said, it is action-packed, but it speaks to a lot of social events and a lot of current events.
How long have you been writing Quagmire?
Quagmire took me about, roughly, I would say, about 7 months to finish.
7 months,
yes,
okay.
About 7 months, yes.
Excellent,
Roughly
yeah.
7 months.
That's the good. You see, it's very important for writers to know that some books can be written in 7 months, start in 7 months, some takes 10 years, some takes 3 years, you know.
But it depends, you see, what I do is that it depends on the structure and the framework.
Right.
Because I believe it's like construction. Once you set up the foundation, right? And you do the skeleton, then obviously it's just a matter of tweaking, adding, right? Reconstructing, and then you're there.
Right, yes. So you're going to give us a little...
Yes, I would give you a little piece. Just hold one sec, let me find. I would tell you the piece I'm going to do is, the caption will tell you exactly where it's based, right? So I trust that I will take you on a scintillating ride and thrill with Quagmire.
Get ready for Jeffrey Gilbert's Quagmire.
All right. The White House Rose Garden, Washington, D.C., early spring. The reporters sat in a staggered formation as they waited. The process of getting to the press conference was quite complicated. Journalist Anna Rose sat diagonally in the back row to the right of Mike Daly, the veteran White House correspondent. They arrived at the Rose Garden about 25 minutes before the event. Anna responded to the beep on a mobile phone. Mike's message made her chuckle. The discomfort caused by the elastic bands around her ears and the vapors from her breath muffled her attempt to laugh. Think we'll get another bombshell today? Your guess is as good as mine. Still reeling from the last weekend stunt. Remind me what it was. The guy has his own homemade concoctions and remedies, you know. Really? Yeah. I think he's crazy. Anna looked at the time on her iPad. Hope the misty drug he's taking works well for him. Mike glanced at the beautiful chrysanthemums. He felt this lovely garden is a rather incongruent backdrop for quagmire and the mayhem currently prevailing in his dear homeland. He responded to Anna, "That's the understatement of the century. We have a public health crisis, and when those elected to serve scoff at our scientists and professionals, we are in big, big trouble." I'm really waiting for something phenomenal today. She instinctively sprayed a burst of fragrant sanitizing lotion onto her sweaty palms. In addition to the can of pepper spray, the half-liter sized blue plastic bottle never leaves her bag. Like his compatriot, Mike doesn't go anywhere without his mask and sanitizing gel. Both reporters saw the increased activity of the nearby Secret Service agents. 2 Black Hawk helicopters circled ominously overhead. The dung draft from the churning rotor blades was strong enough to ruffle the shrubs along the garden perimeter. Anna quickly replied, "I think they're about to start." Yeah, I think so too. Good morning to all of you. It's really a beautiful day. Don't you think so? I've got really good news for you today. America is back, and we are open for business. I know some of you don't like me, but what the heck? When I took the oath of office, I knew that I was not getting into a popularity contest. I love this great country, and I'm going to do my job. Just look around our country today. Our economy is up. And by the way, some of the fake news networks are not in agreement. They're all a bunch of darn liars and con artists, haters and enemies of our great country. But here's what. We have the greatest economy in the world, the best and most professional military men. Under my watch, those who threaten the safety and security have all been annihilated. A certain general learned that the very hard way. We took him out with a precision strike. The lessons here, there are no safe havens for those who threaten America. Life today could not have been any better. Some of you are talking about healthcare, saying all kinds of nasty things about my administration. America is still the best and the safest place in the whole goddamn world. We have lots of friends. The other day, I spoke with my friend, President Ivanov. He also thinks that we are the best. Folks, I have a lot more to say, but I'm an extremely busy man. I've got an important visit to the White House later on today. I'll give you all just about 30 minutes for questions. KLAB reporter Jim Rothenberg raised his hand. He did not want to throw a curveball at Matthias, but his journalistic instincts kicked in. Mr. President, at a briefing last Monday, and even in your opening remarks, you said, "We've got the best healthcare system in the entire world." Mr. President, such statements are at odds with today's reality. You dismantled a very fair and equitable plan for healthcare, and while you boast about your military prowess, people are dying. How can you explain this? The president rubbed his left cheek. He cleared his throat, then lifted the glass of water. Jim, that's the problem I have with you guys. Let me say this. We are the greatest and the most powerful nation on earth. That's a shit question. I'm not going to answer that. People die, and you guys continue to blame me. Rothenberg retorted, but Mr. President, when basic supplies are running low and our healthcare providers revert to recycling, more Americans are at risk. I'm sure you heard about the ICU nurse, Kelsey Gallagher. She jumped to her death from a fifth floor hospital window. How many more Kelseys do we need before something is done? Why don't you go ask the fake news network? They'll give you the answer, I'm sure. I think you need a hearing aid. I'm not taking any more questions from you. Let's have Martha. Jimmy Rothenberg shook his head. Within the last 3 months, he had seen so much misinformation. The thought of quitting crossed his mind several times. He was not surprised at the question posed by Martha Hernandez. Her network consistently praised the president, even supported many of the taboo and dangerous concoctions he's been promoting. Mr. President, let me congratulate you on the great job you're doing. How do you explain the marvelous turnaround in the economy, especially in the midst of this pandemic? Oh, that's a lovely question, Martha. That's a really great question. Despite what our critics say, we have everything under control. And that's why I love your network so much. You guys are not like the bunch of fakers. The skeptics and haters will always find ways to discredit my administration. But we're doing great. Jobs are up. People are happy. Look at the smiles on their faces. We are going great guns. Very great guns. Lovely question, Martha, again, and I thank you. Who's next? Anna Rose lifted a hand. She did not intend to follow the pattern of the previous reporter. Rose went straight for the jugular. The president sipped more water. He held on to the edge of the podium. Sir, I'm going back to healthcare. How can you boast of America's military might when our ICU wards are running out of beds? There's a chronic shortage of ventilators. Bodies are piling up everywhere. Mr. President, do you have a conscience? The president shook his right cheek. If you come down to my bunker, I'll be glad to show you the stockpile. By the way, I think you should shave the hair off your legs. Anna was livid. Mr. President, I do not appreciate your sexist comments. It's about time someone reminds you about the sanctity of the office you hold. The president waved his right hand and then took a deep, long, slow breath. He touched his necktie. I've got much better things to do with my time. I know that the bunch of left-wing mobsters will stop at nothing. These are tough times. I guess not everyone has a sense of humor. Anyway, I'll take 2 more questions. Yes, Mary, hope you are not going to throw another curveball at me. The Chicago Daily Mirror reporter tried to lift her voice. She adjusted her face mask. Thank you, Mr. President. There have been reports of a rift of some kind in relations between Washington and Moscow. Is there any truth in this? You know, Mary, I think you should go ask the left-wing mob. They have all the answers. They are the ones stirring up trouble. President Ivanov and I are on very good terms. Only last Monday, I authorized a shipment of 200 ventilators to help them fight the virus. Really? As you know, we've got our situation well under control. We're just a good country. We are cooperating with our friends in Russia. The haters always looking for trouble. Oh, and I know this one is going to be of great interest to all of them. President Ivanov has agreed to punish anyone found guilty of interference in our domestic affairs. I know you all are talking about the elections. The Duma approved that bill. So that's really fantastic news. The relationship with Russia could not have been any better. I hope I've answered your question. The reporter nodded. Yes, Mr. President, you did. But by the way, I'm also hearing of allegations of Russian complicity in some bizarre plot to harm American troops stationed overseas. What can you say about this? More bullshit. Another set of bullshit from the left-wing mob. They are all part of the fake news and con artists, pranksters. That's what they are. The president banged his fist on the podium. Okay, I'll take the last one. Kate, let's hear it. The veteran Gulf War correspondent stood up. Mr. President, what can you say about the current racial tensions running through America today and all the recent deaths of black Americans in police custody? Let me say this. We live in a great country, but the left-wing mobsters just want to make me look bad. It's a whole lot of politics. In America, we love to pray. Our cops, our healthcare workers, everywhere, our janitors, everyone is praying these days. They're even on their knees, kneeling in the streets, kneeling everywhere. Everywhere, everyone is kneeling. So, I do not understand what this is all about. What this is all about. I've instructed our military and law enforcement to shoot the damn looters and troublemakers. There is no racism in America. We are the greatest nation on earth. No, Mr. President, you're dead wrong. How can we be great? How can we be great when a simple neighborhood run becomes a death sentence? When those who take the oath to protect and serve play judge, jury, and executioner? That's not symbolic of greatness, Mr. President. That's the roadmap to anarchy, chaos, and mayhem. Thank you.
Great, thank you, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeffrey Gilbert. So when is Quagmire going to be out?
Quagmire should be out by the end of November or by the middle of December.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, don't go away. We will be right back.
Thank you.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you.
COVID-19 is a serious health threat. When you touch things like gas pumps, door handles, or someone else's cell phone, you can spread the virus, even if you don't have symptoms. Don't put lives at risk. Wash your hands. Stay 2 meters apart. That's a distance of 2 arms lengths. And if you're sick, stay home to save lives.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Aunty Tek Spiceword Festival. Are we having a good time? Yes. I hate asking that question just in case they say no. But I know we're having a great time. At this time, I'm just going to change the pace a little bit. Instead of we have authors, remember I talked about poets. But right now, I'm going to introduce to you a young poet by the name of Alistair Amada, also known as Lyrically Inclined. Ladies and gentlemen, Alistair, take it away.
Okay, this piece is called Society. Like to deal with societal pieces, right? And it goes like this. They beat you in the home. They beat you in the school. They beat you in the community. They beat you in the church. They even beat you in the workplace. Lord, when will this beating stop? You slip up, they beat you. You fail, they beat you. You make a simple mistake, they beat you. You sin, they beat you. Lord, when will this beating stop? Listen, you're poor, they beat you. You're rich, they beat you. You're healthy, they beat you. You're sick, they beat you. You're strong, they beat you. You're weak, they beat you. You're happy, they beat you. You're sad, they beat you. You're down, they beat you. You're up, they beat you. You're depressed, suppressed, and oppressed by life. They take pleasure with their belt, both hands and feet, and beat you. They ain't providing for you. They don't make time, nor have the time. They don't talk, nor understand you. They don't hear nor listen to you, but they beating you. Your family beating you. Your friend beating you. Your teacher beating you. Even your lover beating you. Lord, when will this beating stop? And they say they care. They say they like you. They say they love you. They say they have your best interest at heart. But they beat you like meat. They pound you like a nail. They drill you like a screw. They break you like blocks. They crush you like a little insect. Lord, again, when will this beating stop? Society, you know. Society curses, crushes, and condemns. Leaving you broken and bruised. But you know something? For the beaters, bullies, and bashers out there, you know who you are. So you better stop. Because this is just a warning. Just remember, karma is a you know what. What you sow, you will definitely reap. I thank you.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Alistair Amada, youth, society. Thank you, my friend. Now I'm bringing on Dante with another poem. Okay, Dante. So you see, we have a wonderful mixture in this island of singers, of dancers. The arts is so powerful here. And we have these young minds now that are coming up with incredible stuff that reflects society, telling about what's happening in society, tragically, joyfully, creatively, and they use their imaginations to come up with some incredible work. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Dante.
Hi. Right. So this piece is basically called a random relationship advice, and it's just different relationships in your life. So love, friendship, etc. Right? From the boundaries you set to the disrespect you let through, I always believe you teach people how to treat you. There should be no concern for if you come across too loud. It is to guard your peace, not to blend into the crowd. They may often call you meaner than the majority, but but I will happily live with that to keep myself as a priority. If you disrespect me, there is no point in my being nice, because if I leave it unaddressed, I just invite you to do it twice. So forgive me if I happen to leave your feelings bruised. I would rather your heart hurt than your mind be confused. I am expected often to accept madness just so others don't feel ashamed. But it is their actions in the first place that cause them to be blamed. Also, if they do not want the drama, they should not write the script, because one day we will all face our consequences, bare, exposed, and stripped. And on a final note, your life is shaped by the things you allow. So start with an honest look there when you will understand what is right now. Thank you very much.
Dante, thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Dante. So, moving right along to, we're shifting briefly, we're shifting off now from poetry back to literature, to the author. And I'm sitting here with me, I have Amy James, who wrote the book Jones? Amy Jones, sorry, my apologies here. Amy Jones, because I think this is the first time I'm meeting you. Chains That Bind. Welcome, yes. Amy, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah?
How are you?
Good, good.
All
I'm
right.
enjoying the wonderful get-together here with writers and authors and poets. And this is so rare, you know, this is a real wonderful occasion for this Spiceword Festival to happen, because this is what brings us together, and it exposes Grenadian authors and poets to the world, you know, because we get such few of that throughout the year. So when we can celebrate it, I really enjoy this sort of things, you know. So Amy, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am from St. Andrew.
Yes. Just had another person. A lot of talent coming out of St. Andrews today.
St. Andrew. I've been writing for as long as I can remember. I probably started when I was around 8 years old.
Okay.
Yes, into poetry and then spoken word. And in 2019, I started writing a novel, which I published then.
You published? Okay.
Yes.
Which novel is that?
Chains That Bind.
Chains.
Yes.
So this is your first book?
This is my first novel.
Novel, okay.
Right. Yes. So it is a Grenadian-based novel.
Right.
It speaks about our language, our culture, and a little bit about our beliefs.
Okay. Yeah. I know we're going to talk about this right now, but what are the other books you have written?
All right. So in 2014, I wrote and published Beyond Fables Poetry. It is a collection of poems basically focusing on women, or Grenadian women, or strong black women, and appreciating them for what they have done for younger ones in society. And over the COVID period, I wrote and published A to Z Odyssey.
In 8 months over the COVID period?
Yes.
So that's self-published?
Yes, it is.
Excellent. Yes. I was just talking about that earlier on, about young, you know, not young writers, but writers, period. You know, it is a time where you can self-publish yourself.
Yes.
And a lot of you are doing it. I'm so proud that we actually have an example here, ladies and gentlemen, of somebody who is self-published, you know, and within 8 months. That's fantastic. So what was that again, sorry?
A to Z Odyssey. It's a poetry book, but it's kind of hybrid between a novel and poetry. It is written, as the letter says, A to Z. So there's a letter for there is a poem for every letter of the alphabet.
Oh,
and in
interesting.
it tells a story of the character the author speaks about, and her challenges through relationships, and how it's affected by our culture as well, what we allow, our family backgrounds, and how it inevitably shapes us.
Okay, beautiful. What of the new book now, which is Chains That Bind? What is it about?
All right. So,
don't give away the book.
I'm not giving away
no
too
spoilers.
Much. I'm gonna
just
let you look at it and tell me what comes to mind when you see that cover.
Man controlling woman.
Man controlling woman.
That's what it looks like. She has the chain, and there is a guy behind her. Or the woman is controlling the man. Okay, now I see where the end of the chain is. Yeah.
But there's something else that our Caribbean people may notice when they look at it. Long white dress.
Largeabulous? Yes.
And if you look closely, you would see those footprints there.
Okay,
One human foot,
that's right.
one cow foot.
Yes.
So it speaks about our cultural belief and little superstitious stories that we used to hear growing up.
That's right.
Right. So there's a lot to hear in this about Laja Bliss and some other folklores that we've been hearing on the island of Grenada.
Excellent. The theme of the festival is folk tales.
Yes.
So this is a great opportunity. So is it many stories in one? Isn't it thought?
It's one.
One story. Okay. So I don't want to give away. Are you going to read some of it for us?
Of course.
Yes, I'm looking forward to. You know, Laja Bliss is one of my favorite characters.
I know. All right. So I'm going to read from chapter 9.
Okay.
The chapter is entitled Laja Bliss. All right. You ever see a zombie? JJ asked his sisters. Petra looked at JJ and shrugged her shoulders. I hear Mommy say he had a time she hear cousin Michelle say she catch Peter down the road in she house counting salt. Remember they say they used to put that there to catch them ligaro and sukuya and them? What you find, Cherry? JJ asked intently as he stared at his older sister. I find it's true, Cherry responded. I tell all you already, I see a ball of fire shooting across the sky. It's a real zombie on this island, you know. I sure all of them islands and them in the Grenadine Isles, and maybe even in the Caribbean too, they have something. The children continued their chatter, telling tales of the time they heard people in the village and other parts of the island of Grenada sharing stories of the creatures they had encountered. Of the many stories they shared, Cherry remembered the moment Danisha shared an experience her father had. It was a moonlight night in Soleil Rouge, sometime in the 70s. 20-year-old Dominic had just left his girlfriend Marisha's house. Marisha lived in Soleil Rouge at the west end of the island, and Dominic lived in Lons-sur-Sapin at the south end of the island, about 30 minutes walking distance. Mr. Dominic had just gotten his license, but he did not yet own a car. So he would walk to and from Marisha's house. The pair had been dating for over a year, and Dominic had promised to propose to Marisha as soon as he had accumulated enough money. On the night in question, Dominic left Soleil Rouge around 9:30 and was journeying back to his home. It was not unusual for him to walk home alone. In fact, it was at those moments he spent time thinking about the love of his life, Marisha. About halfway through his journey, Dominic heard what sounded like shoe heel clicking behind him, and the sweet hum of a song he did not know. The sound was hard to miss. As he turned around, he noticed a young woman walking behind him. He had never seen her before and was unable to catch a glimpse of her face. Quite a night for a lovely young lady like you to be walking by yourself, he said, but she did not respond. Where you from? No response. Dominic figured that the young lady might have been afraid that a man ahead of her could attack her, so he left her alone. Again, Dominic looked back to see more of the young woman's attire and her physique being defined in the moonlight. He continued on his way and tried not to bother her. If Marisha was alone on the road and a young man was talking to her, he too would have not expected her to start a conversation with him. God forbid. Dominic continued walking, and for the last time, he felt compelled to ask the young woman if she was lost and needed help. He looked back to see her long black hair bouncing on the shoulders of her white dress that hugged her well-defined body. Although he was dating Marisha, he could not help but notice how good her silhouette looked. As the moon shone in the sky, he looked in her direction and asked, "Miss, you sure you don't need help?" No response. He looked ahead, and again he turned around. It was almost like a compulsion. This time, She walked directly under the old street light before the St. Martin village, and the unthinkable was revealed. The woman wore a big brown straw hat that covered her face, but revealed her jet black hair falling off her shoulders and onto her white dress that flopped on the ground, hiding what could have been kitten heels. Clop, clop, clop. It did not take Dominic long to realize that the woman behind him was not lost, but pursuing him in an effort to trap him, seduce him, and take his soul. Fear gripped Dominic, and he began to run, yelling as loudly as he could, "Ladja bless! Ladja bless!" The pace of what previously sounded like heels began to increase, just as quickly as Dominic sprinted away from the jumbie. He knew there and then it was not shoe heels, but one cow foot accompanied by one human foot. "Ladja bless! Ladja bless!" Dominic continued to scream at the top of his lungs. In less than 2 minutes, the lights in the houses just a few meters away from him were turned on, and people came out into the streets. Just as would be expected, the jumbie, not interested in a crowd, but the man ahead of her, disappeared into the moonlight night, leaving Dominic panting uncontrollably and very much afraid. The villagers ran towards him with many questions and concerns. They gave him a glass of water and wanted to send him on his way. Yet, Dominic insisted that he was not going to walk the rest of the way alone. A welcoming family let him spend the night in their spare room until morning had dawned. Dominic was sure that if he had turned around to assist her, she would have seduced him and put him in a trance where he would have walked to the riverbank and drowned.
Yeah. Ladja bless. I grew up with those stories.
And I grew up hearing you
yes.
telling those stories.
So La Diablesse is such a part of us. It's from the French patois, La Diablesse, meaning devil woman, right? And a lot of people don't really know, when they talk about La Diablesse, what is La Diablesse? As you say, she's a tall woman, beautiful, impeccably beautiful. And she wears, and that's the whole thing. Some people have said that she has had a skeleton face, but no. But she has the reason why she entices men is because of her beauty. Exactly, So she has that beautiful face, but one side is covered. So we really never know what's on the other side.
Yeah.
Just like yours, exactly, always, right? So what happens is that she entices the men, and once the man looks at her or talks to her, she captures, as you say, she captures her soul, and they can't stop following her, following her. So La Diablesse is a part of us, and folk, have you ever seen a La Diablesse?
No, I have not. But I heard, like I said, I listened to stories when I was younger.
Yeah.
I would listen to you on the radio.
Yeah.
But my dad also shared stories with me of what he heard.
Exactly.
So the character came from all those.
Yeah, and that's the magic about these characters, because they belong to us. They belong to Grenada, the Spice Isle. And you can take these characters, if you know them, and put them into stories, like I did with La Diablesse and the baby, So it's not, you can start creating new stories, but using these different characters and start creating your own folk tales, So it's very, very important that we continue this legacy, and I'm so happy that I know I'm a young person, that you're writing these folk tales. It's really, really a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
So where can we get this book?
Okay, so presently it's online on Amazon if there's anyone in the States or
Okay,
Canada.
what's the name? Tell them the name.
Chains That Bind, so it's on Amazon. You can
By
buy
Amy Jones?
your copy. Yes, Amy J.W. Jones.
Yeah.
You can buy your hard copy, or if you want an ebook, you can also get it on Amazon as well. And I have copies. I don't have them in stores, but if anyone needs, they can call me up or link me on any one of my social media platforms. I have bookmarks as well with all the information.
Excellent.
But we have here, if anybody here wants, it's on the table.
Exactly. And we have most of the books here too, okay? Amy, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for being part of this
Thank you for
incredible
having me.
festival.
Yes.
God bless. Wish you all the best in
Thank
the
you.
future. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Amy Jones, Chains That Bind. Okay, we just want to say has been a wonderful, wonderful time. I think we're coming. Do we have 5 more minutes? We have 5 more minutes? Oh, great. Okay. Okay, we're going to wrap. Yeah. So, anybody, just sort of the audience here, anybody would like to ask a question? And anybody would like to ask Amy a question? Or myself? Just, hello? Anybody like to ask a question? No? No questions? No questions means things are going really well. They're getting everything. Okay, so on this note, I'll tell you a little story, which we'll end with. And I will, it's always nice to, since it's folk tales and stuff, and Amy will sit here and I'll tell Amy this story like in the olden days. You see, we're sitting on our couch and thing, and we have a little drink.
Missing some cocoa.
And some cocoa tea, some nice hot cook, some bakes, and like what's her name's book talked a little about the bakes and saltfish. But since we're dealing with the Ladja Bless, I'll tell you the Ladja Bless story. And well, the first one is similar to your story.
Okay.
And growing up, I always, when I went up to the country, because my mom is from Birch Grove and my dad is from St. Andrews too, Yeah, Keynes Douglas. And we used to go up and spend time by my aunt, and so, because I grew up in Tongue, but I was the last kid in the family, so the rest, all over. Grenville, I grew up in Grenville. And storytelling was a big thing in the family. And I'm trying to get people to bring that back. Sit on the steps outside with your nephews, your nieces, your kids, whatever it is, and read these stories. And let them come up with stories. Let them create their own stories, And Ladja Bless, and I do it Sukoyan, Ligaru, Baku. You know what Baku is? Baku is a little man in the bottle, right? And they say he's like a genie. And if you're walking through your land, you're cutting cocoa and you're cutting bananas, and you see a bottle, right? And it's corked. Don't pick it up and open it, because in it might be a little man this size, and he's called a Baku. And they say if you open it, the Baku is going to jump out, and you have to feed him and clothe him for the rest of your life. I know some big ones walking around today. so that is Baku, remember, right? And of course, we have Mama Glow. Mama Glow is the woman on the river. With the long hair, and the mermaid comb and stuff like that, And Kribo, about Kribo?
Yes.
Kribo the snake. But I'll tell you a little story about Ladja Bless and the baby. It was raining one night, thunder and lightning. I know Grenville. Cocoa up there, all the nutmeg is raining, it's thunder and lightning. And the only song you could have heard was the sound of a baby crying, right? Through the bushes and things. And this song was coming from inside my grandmother's house. And Granny was sitting in front of a frightened little baby, rocking the baby and trying to get the baby to sleep. And she was singing, "Oh, no, no, don't cry no more. The thunder is good 'cause it comes from the Lord. Don't cry no more, sleep, my little one. Don't cry no more, sleep, my little one." There was a knock on the door. All of a sudden, Granny said, "Who is it out there?" "It's just a little lady outside. Is it okay if I shelter the rain on your veranda?" Right away, Granny got suspicious. Because what a little lady was doing way up in Granny's house in all this thunder and lightning. But Granny's good heart said, "All right, you could sit on the veranda until the rain eases up." There was silence. "I'm getting more wet outside. Is it okay if I come inside and shelter the rain?" The voice came through the jealousy as clear as a bell. Granny said, "All right, you could come inside and sit by the door." Very slowly, the door started to open, and the woman walked in. She said she was a little lady. The woman was tall like a young coconut tree. And she was wearing a wide brimmed straw hat that was covering part of her face. Yes, it was a face Granny had never seen in the neighborhood before. And she was dressed in a long gown, right down to the bottom of the ground, covering her toes. And the bottom of the dress was wet and dirty from the red mud and all the rain outside. So Granny took a chair and she put it by the door. And the woman went down and she sat down by the door. And Granny went back to the crying little baby, never taking her eyes off the stranger. And Granny kept on singing, "Oh, no, no, don't cry no more. The lightning is good 'cause it comes from the Lord. Don't cry no more, sleep, my little one. Let me hold the baby for you a little while," the woman said. Granny said, "Thank you, but no thanks. It's quite all right. Let me hold the baby for you. I am very good with children." Granny said, "I say thanks, but no thanks. What happened? You're deaf?" And right away, Granny started taking precaution because Granny suspected it was Elijah Bliss. And what did Elijah Bliss like to do? They like to ask the same question 3 times. And all of a sudden, the woman stood up. She seemed taller than before. And for the 3rd time, she said, "Let me hold the baby for you. I am very good with children." And Granny said, "Thank you. It's quite all right. The baby's okay in my arms." And all of a sudden, the woman stood up and she walked over to Granny and she looked at the baby and she looked at Granny and she smiled and she turned her back and she walked out the door. And by the time Granny ran to the door to see where that woman was going, she had disappeared like lightning. And the next morning, because of all the rain and the red mud outside, where the woman walked on the veranda and where she walked inside of Granny's house, there were footprints on the flooring. 1 human foot and
1 cow foot.
1 human foot and 1 cow foot. It was Elijah Bliss that had come to visit Granny that night. And if Granny had only given her the baby to hold, she would have disappeared with that baby like that. And I wouldn't be here telling you this story, because that little baby was me. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being part of this, for sharing with us, and for us sharing, for all the wonderful authors that came out here tonight. To Grenada Cultural Foundation for making this happen. This is the 10th year. I want to thank you all and to thank Sherma, the CEO, Sherma Wells, Ms. Sherma Wells, for again making this happen every year. All the hard work. Donna Lynn, our stage manager, all the hard work. The wonderful crew, which is the crew here? GIS crew, thank you so much for... Partygrenada, right, for making this happen and sharing it with the world. Now, I am sending this out to you to share stories. Sit down with your kids tonight, turn off the TV, forget COVID, forget Trump, forget everybody else, forget politics, everything. Just sit, turn everything off, and just start to share with each other. Tell your stories. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless, be safe.
COVID-19 is a serious health threat. When you touch things like gas pumps, door handles, or someone else's cell phone, you can spread the virus, even if you don't have symptoms. Don't put lives at risk. Wash your hands. Stay 2 meters apart. That's a distance of 2 arms lengths. And if you're sick, stay home to save lives.
We've been apart for a short while, but now the time has come when you can join us again in our little slice of paradise. Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique has always provided a relaxing, rejuvenating, and authentic experience, and that hasn't changed. You can look forward to the same amazing experience while we strengthen our already high health protocols to give you peace of mind while you are with us. So come visit us. We await you with open hearts and spirits, filled with that warm, unique Grenadian hospitality. Rediscover an island filled with adventure, charm, and magic. Pure Grenada, just for you.